Okay, everybody, welcome. Miles Kessler here, and welcome to another one of our meditation coaching demos. And today, Dave Jaques has agreed to do a call with me, and he's calling from Quebec City, where it's snowing right now. So thanks for joining, Dave. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Great. And before we begin, Dave, I'm just going to read your the answers that you answered in the questionnaire. Then you can, if you want to elaborate, you can give me some more information, and then I'll kind of say a few things about it. So Dave says that he has been practicing meditation on his own for some times, but with no formal study with the teachers. And it's mainly sitting for 10 or 15 minutes in the morning. And he does that about 3 times a week. Great, Dave. Do you want to tell me more about your meditation practice?
Sure. It's mainly something I do like from time to time in order to calm my thoughts or just to gather myself to recenter, basically. And mainly in the morning, so this way I can start my day like having a full overview of what's going on. So I've been trying to do it like every day, but then, life is so busy, so I get caught into things getting fast, so I kind of have difficulty to set, my pace of that. So kind of accepted right now to do it from time to time, or even during the day at work, like taking a few minutes to just calm down and then settle. So my practice is mainly about that. So mainly recenter, mainly just to understand what's going on, because sometimes we're stressed or just lost or not exactly sure what's going on. I will use meditation techniques to just understand what's happening now.
Okay. That sounds great. And tell me, what do you hope to gain from this session?
Lately, the things I've been looking is like, I feel like I'm scattered everywhere, like all the things I know, and then try to feel connections between it. And I believe that meditation could help that. And I've been practicing Aikido for a long time also. So it's like, that's why I'm kind of related to what you do. So
great.
To try to connect things I know together.
And how would you say you're practicing awareness or mindfulness in your Aikido practice?
Mainly about what's happening into my relation with the person I'm practicing and the environment that's around me. So the awareness of what's going on into the tatami, and then what's how am I feeling? And am I stressed? Am I pumped up? Am I crispy or more relaxed? And then just to realize how I've been doing and how the class has been like energizing or simply or if I'm fatigued or stuff like that. So
right.
Is that, and it's pretty helpful outside of the Aikido practice in my work in order to mix the notion of awareness of what's going on into facilitation and conversation and all.
Awesome. Great. Okay. So what I hear is that you're practicing for your Aikido practice. You're developing your awareness of yourself and of others, because it's a martial art. It's a relational martial art, yes. But also the world around you, and that there's a certain amount of also self-regulation. You're checking in with yourself if you're excited, if you're calm, or these types of things. And you also see there's a bridge from that also to your work environment. It's kind of the same awareness training. Great. Yeah, for many people, Aikido, yoga, those types, or dance or body work or therapy or whatever, those types of activities start out as their main awareness practice or their main mindfulness practice, and then they pick up a little bit like you're doing the kind of a somehow daily meditation, and then the daily meditation becomes the main thing, and those other practices become a place to kind of express that. So that's cool. So what I want to do is I want to talk about your actual sitting meditation practice, because whatever we talk about in the sitting meditation practice can be applied to anything: your Aikido, your work, your relationships, especially the self-regulation. And so when you sit down to meditate, what exactly are you doing? Where are you placing your attention?
At first, I start with my breathing. I'd say mainly how's my posture, how am I seated, and my breathing in order to just understand what's going on. And then I will use the technique more about a little bit like I'm seated into the cinema, like I'm becoming the witness of what's going on into me and what's going on around me. So I don't try to stop the thoughts. I just to try to, you know, welcome them, feel what's going on, and then let them go. So this is mainly what I do into the 10, 15 minutes, and then or try like if I wonder whether really too far, then I recenter and stuff like that. So this is mainly what I do into the few minutes I do it.
Okay, great. So there's the witnessing practice, but
Yep.
at the beginning when you sit down, you kind of anchor either in the breath or in the body.
Yep.
Is that just is that an intuitive thing, or do you have a specific choice that you sit down, the first thing you do is you look at the breath, or the first thing you do is you scan the body?
I'd say I scan the body first. This is
Just how does the body feel? How's the
yep.
alignment? How's the centering?
Yeah, I'd say the one I check a lot is the tension in my shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
and then see to hunch back. So like, am I like this, or is it too tight, or my jaw and stuff? So this is kind of the first part, and then try to settle, and then breathing helps me to relax into that.
Great. And then this first part is just for a few seconds, and
Yeah,
then you
I'll
shift
say
to watching the breath.
maybe the first minute or something. I'm
Okay.
exactly sure how long.
Yeah, but then at a certain point, there's a conscious choice to move to the breath.
Yep.
Good. Yeah, I would make that as conscious as possible. You know, do a scan if the scan is a minute or even 30 seconds or 30 minutes. It doesn't really matter. You can start with the breath. You can start with the body. Those are all fine things, but make it very conscious. Kind of do a scan, up, down,
Mm-hmm.
down, up. Doesn't really matter. Check in where the body's at, and then consciously move to the breath. The body's a little bit more general, and then the
Mm-hmm.
breath is more specific. And now when you
Mm-hmm.
observe the breath, where do you observe the breath? Because, you know, we breathe through the nose, maybe the mouth, but it also, we have the lungs and the body. So where exactly do you place your attention?
I'd say it starts into my nose, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just trying to remember how I do it, but it's mainly. I'd
Yeah,
say
yeah, do
sound of
check
it
in.
actually. The sound of it gets my attention, and then I'd say it gets into the lungs, like or into the chest. Maybe how is it doing? I'd say that's the two parts where I start.
Okay, so there you're aware of the sound of the in breath
Yep.
and the out breath, and then you check in the nose. Now, when you check the nose, what specific? I've got to turn off an alarm. Give me just 1 second, Dave. I'm sorry about
That's
that.
okay.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
When you're aware of the breath, not the sound, but the actual sensation in the nose, what specifically are you aware of? Let's say, I'll make it even more specific. On the
Yeah.
in breath, what are you aware of?
Mainly if my nose is blocked or not, because I have problems sometimes to breathe correctly. So it's like,
Sure.
is it okay? And then when I feel it coming in, then I can move to something else. Because sometimes in the morning, like my nose gets very
Mm-hmm.
blocked or something. So this is like
Yeah.
probably the first thing I realize.
Well, why don't we go with the exact, because you know, right, you've done a lot of practice, but I'm asking you something very specific. So why don't we just limit it to when the breath is good
Yep.
and the breath comes in. So you're aware of the sensations of the air moving into the
Yep.
nose, and then you move with it into the body.
I'd say yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably what I do, and then and then realize like other parts of my body, what's going on in
What parts?
my legs.
Okay. So in relation to the breath.
And really,
Yeah. So right now I want to limit what we're
okay. I'm
talking
just
about to the
gonna.
breath.
So
Sure.
in relation to the breath, I'd say the next part is gonna be my chest, like
Okay.
how I feel the chest moving, how I feel the air getting in and out.
And how do you feel it moving? Again, I'm asking you for like a snapshot of a very general practice, but if you could give me a
Yep.
snapshot So you're aware of it coming into the chest.
Yep.
And what specific sensations are you aware of?
I feel it opening up
Mm-hmm.
a little. And I feel the sensation of filling and expanding.
Okay. Yeah. So opening up is more of an expanding opening up.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else there?
I'll feel also after the chest, I'll sit more into my back, not like more into the chest and back part expanding, and I will feel my body getting upwise, and then feel that sensation of slowly also falling down into my stomach. Like
Still on the in breath, or is that the out breath?
out breath. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. All right. Good.
It's
So on the
okay.
in breath, it comes in. It starts here. It goes in the chest. You
Yeah.
notice an opening up, an expansion. Also, the back is expanding, and then you move to the belly, but with the out breath.
Yeah.
Can you describe? And I'm asking for specific physical sensations or qualities, characteristics of the out breath.
There's a notion of stillness, because I feel also the moment, when it shifts from the in breath, and then there's a little moment of stillness, and then it will like the sensation of let go.
Awesome. So let's back up a little bit, because I want to know about that.
Yeah.
Are you looking at the chest at that point, or are you down in the belly at that point?
More in kind of in the middle, actually.
Okay.
Feel it more like really, really just on the top of the stomach, where the chest starts,
Okay.
and then that's
okay.
I feel that stillness.
Okay. So before, let's say before the out breath, at the end of the in breath, is that when you start to feel the stillness?
Yep.
So the movement of the in breath slows down.
Yep.
How does it stop?
It's very, very, it's very subtle. It's like when it happens, it's like I can feel that 0.1 second when it just stops, and then it goes down.
Perfect. So
but within
So the way that a car comes to a stop sign, sometimes it can slowly, gradually stop. Other times it slams, and sometimes it keeps going. So if I hear you correctly, I hear that it's slowly coming to a stop. Very subtle, you said. And there's like a moment, a point, a tenth of a second or whatever, where it stops, and then it goes the other direction. And in that stopping, that's when you start to begin to feel the stillness?
Yes.
Now, is the stillness physical or mental?
I'd say it's more mental of it.
So the mind is slowing down.
Yep.
Coming to a stop. The breath is still moving, and then just for just a moment, it actually stops, and then it changes direction.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's really clear description. Okay. Now, as it changes direction, how does it begin?
How does what?
How does the out breath begin?
Well, it starts very slowly. Like the image that comes in mind, it's like opening up. Like if you have something that blocks water, and then you slowly opening up, and then it's going to slowly go over, and then everywhere.
And then it flows.
Yep.
So on the out breath, would you say that there's like a release? This opening up is a release of pressure?
Feels more like a release, because it's not forcing. Like it's just letting go, and then there's the notion of where the more relaxing part of it, like that let go and opening up, is more happening into the exhale.
Great. And the area that we're talking about still is somewhere here in the belly, around this area?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so it slowly came to a stop, stillness, a momentary pause, then an opening up on the out breath. And now, can you describe the rest of the out breath? sensations or qualities?
There's a huge quality of calmness when I feel that. It's like I feel my personal space opening up. I feel my posture is like I feel more relaxed. Not down, just relaxed into the moment. This is usually happening into the exhale part, and
A gradual relaxing.
yeah,
Of the posture.
of the posture and also the mind. Also, like sitting up, and then I'm gonna feel it opening up. Like I'm gonna be aware more, like wider to what I was a moment before.
Great. So there's like a gradual relaxing, and it probably with every breath, it
Yeah,
goes into
it's like building on each breath.
Okay. Okay. And would you say the breath is moving fast or medium or slow?
I'd say medium slow.
Medium slow. Okay.
Yeah, it's
And
not totally slow, but it's slower than the inhale.
Great. And is it a long breath, a medium breath, or a short breath?
That's where I get aware of it and try to make it slower. Because
you consciously try to slow it down?
yep.
Okay. Why?
Because otherwise I don't have the sensation when I described earlier. If I breathe like normally or something, like I'm being less aware of what's going on in that relaxation part. And if I don't do it, like when I do my 10 minutes, I don't get the feeling of relaxation and awareness. I kind of force it to slow down a little bit.
So it's like, as part of this regulation, you're one of your goals in the meditation is to come out more relaxed.
Yep.
So you consciously slow the breath down.
Yep.
Or maybe not so consciously, but subtly.
Yeah, no, I'm not forcing it. I'm just aware that I want it to be a little slower, especially into the exhale. Like I try to extend it 1 or 2 seconds longer just to get.
Well, it's very much, we do this in Aikido. Yeah, we do regulate the breath. We might be doing breathing exercise, but we always try to kind of calm, and that's good there. In meditation, not necessarily, but I'll get back to that with meditation. Can you tell me how the out breath comes to a end? How does it stop?
Then again, it's like it really slows down. So I'm gonna feel like there's less air coming out, and then there's gonna be that moment where I feel I don't have enough, like I don't have any more air into my lungs. This is just mental sensation of it. So it will slowly go down, and I'm gonna feel it like into the belly, like very, very not compressing, but like I feel deflating. Like a little
deflating. Is there a little contraction there at the end?
A little.
Okay, yeah, pressure, or it comes down like that.
Yeah, I feel like like a balloon is just pushing on itself, and then.
Right. So hang on. So the breath is, as it slows down, there is a relaxing, which is probably a pleasant feeling.
Yep.
But then as it comes to the very end, it's a little bit of a pressing down or contracting.
Yep.
And that is, would you call that last moment pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral?
I'd say mainly neutral, but I could say sometimes it's not pleasant. Like it's just,
sometimes it gets to this kind of.
I feel empty and like it should not be this way. I don't know. It's how my brain would explain.
And then the next in breath brings the relief from that feeling. Great, very good. And on the in breath, you told me at the end of the in breath, there was a momentary pause. On the out breath, is there any pause, or does it just go right back into the in breath?
No, there's a slight pause. I could say it's not the same. I'd say it feels a little longer when I'm totally empty. Just a little.
2 moments. The other one's 1 moment.
Yeah, I'd say 2 moments instead of 1.
Something like that. Okay, great. And what would the quality of that pause be?
Silence.
Okay. You had it on the in breath. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
right
it's
now is
silent.
when very, that's where I could say like almost of nothing is happening, or not, like the body has paused and it's not doing something in that moment. Like it doesn't have to hold something. It's completely released of the breathing.
Perfect. 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 And then how does the in breath begin?
Quite, let's say, kind of direct. It's like it's just happening. I got to say, I'm not exactly sure the feeling of that one. And did it
Okay,
by
good.
put, yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a great answer. So, and now remember, all of these questions I have for you, I have no opinion about how it should be.
Yeah.
In fact, it can be many, many different ways, and I'm sure you'll see, and you probably already see that it is depends on the day and the time and the situation, the
Depends
conditions
on
that you're in.
how I feel, like different morning
Totally,
something. It's
totally.
never the same.
The whole point of me asking all these questions is actually to get you to look a little bit closer into a process that you're clearly familiar with, but it took a little bit more to describe it. You know, the very fact of trying to describe it closer brings
Mm-hmm.
your attention a little bit closer to the experience, which is where you
Yeah.
want it to be. Usually we start to kind of understand an experience, let's just say the breath, and then it's very easy for the mind to become habituated by that. And then suddenly my mind just starts kind of wandering off, not really
Mm-hmm.
paying attention anymore to the breath. Whereas, you know, if I ask questions like in an interview, for example, it really kind of, in a way, it forces the wrong word, but it forces you to look a little bit closer, not
Mm-hmm.
force, but look a little bit closer and understand it a little bit more, which is the whole meditation practice. So let me ask a few questions. Now, I also want to point to something interesting that as you start your meditation, there's the scan and there's the feeling of the breath in the nose, moving into the chest, and then it goes to the belly. But now as you describe the belly, the in-breath was there at the belly.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend to keep doing that. You can pay attention to anywhere in the body, but many meditation traditions use the breath as the anchor. And some traditions, like the tradition I'm from, they actually anchor the breath in the abdomen or the belly
Yep.
area. Now
Yep.
you can choose anywhere, it's fine. But once it settles down there, I would stay there and try to stay with that one location. And when I say try to stay with it, David, what I mean is let it be your home base, your return point. And if you pay attention to other physical sensations, it's perfectly fine. If you pay attention to the breath of the nose, it's perfectly fine. If you pay attention to the mind, it's also important. But then just think of it as a return point. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
your anchor. It's where you really anchor your practice, and you'll because it's an anchor, you'll go the deepest there, and then that'll start to, what do you say, integrate into different aspects of your attention. So let me ask you a few questions about the breath. This kind of opening in the chest, physical, would you say it's a physical experience or a mental experience?
Physical.
Okay, and also you said the back also kind of opens up on the in-breath.
Yep.
Physical or mental? That is also physical.
Yep.
Okay, now as it moves down to this one point in the on the in-breath, kind of in the belly here, you said it comes to a kind of a slow stop. Yeah, and that there's a stillness. I think I already asked you this, but I want to ask
Yep.
it again. Is that stillness physical or mental?
I feel it more mental than physical.
Great. So the mind is becoming more still.
Yep.
Perhaps the body too, but at least there's a little bit of movement
Yeah,
there.
probably the body a little bit, but I will say I'm more aware mentally of the stillness.
Great. Now, and then there's a momentary pause, and on the out breath, there's a kind of a release. You compared it to like a gate opening and water kind of moving out.
Yep.
Is that release physical or mental?
I'd say mental.
It's a mental release.
Yep.
How is it a mental release?
Um, I'd say mental because the notion of being released is like how I feel it, because I physically is like every breath to me feels like it's just doing what it's supposed to be doing, and I'm
It's
just
natural.
Yeah, it's natural. And then what I take awareness of it, and then I feel that calmness happening, like the release of tension and all. So
All right,
this,
so let me ask you that, is the calmness physical or mental?
oh, let's say both, because I can.
Both? Yeah, how is it physical?
Oh, is it physical? And I can sense the tension into the body, like on different parts calming down, and I can feel the breathing being, I'd say, I don't know. It's like feeling the speed of it is being like quite calming, and it's
Okay, good. And what was the speed at
things.
this point?
Um,
Is the speed fast, medium, or you said medium to slow, right?
yeah, it's
Okay.
like something feels like getting into the right speed instead of being too fast. Like life is getting too fast. I don't know.
What do you mean right speed?
No, life is getting too fast. Like,
Right, but you said the right speed, right?
yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean right speed?
Oh, feels to me a speed where it's not forced. It's not me forcing to get faster. It's just to get aligned to what's going on, and then
Okay.
it's not just about me. Then
And is that alignment physical or mental or both?
I feel it both because mentally it's like then I realize more and then I'm more aware, and then I calm down. And physically, I'm gonna feel less tension and less stressed when I'm into that right speed.
Okay, so we're still kind of at the end of the in breath, right?
Yep.
And there's a subtle tension, a subtle stress. Is that fair to say?
At the end of the breathing, which is
The end
releasing
of the in breath.
on the in breath, there is this, yeah, there's a little one, like when it's containing the breath
Uh-huh.
and then
Exactly. Good. Now,
releasing.
is that physical or mental?
I'd say physical.
Good. Okay, great. Yeah, yeah. So now it can be either one. I just tried.
Yeah,
It can be
it's
either.
it's demanding to understand how I see it. But this,
Yeah, yeah. It's either physical or it's mental or it's both. And if it's both,
Mhm.
it's somehow the part of it's physical and somehow part of it's mental. And the reason I'm asking because I think you can start to make that distinction here between where it's at. Um, and then there's the out breath. There's this release, and then there was a slowing down of the breath. Or was
Mhm.
that on? I think that was on the in breath, right? Were you consciously slowed down the breath, or was that on the out breath?
The exhale when
That was
I
on the exhale.
understand the
Good.
exhale. Yeah.
Okay, now you said that you make a conscious intention to slow it down, right?
Yep.
Is that intention physical or mental?
I'd say mental.
Okay, good. And the slowing down, is it physical or mental?
I'm gonna feel it both because I'm gonna feel the body slowing down, like the breath is
Mhm.
expanding, and then mentally I'm gonna feel it like my conscious is slowing down at this.
Mind also slows down, gets closer probably.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now let me ask you this. So does the slowing down cause the intention to slow down, or does the intention to slow down cause the slowing down?
Hmm. I don't know.
So let me give you an example. I make this example quite a bit. So imagine a lemon, a nice, fresh, ripe lemon you take from a tree. You cut it in half, right? You take half of it, juice is coming out. You squeeze all that juice. You're going to put it into a glass or something. You squeeze all the juice into the lemon juice into a glass. Yeah. What's happening in your mouth right now?
It's getting tension
There's tension. Is there saliva? Is there water in the mouth?
a little.
A little bit. Okay. Tension from the sourness of the lemon.
Yep.
Imagine. Okay, good. So is the tension in the mouth or the saliva in the mouth, is that physical or mental?
Physical.
Okay, and the lemon that I was squeezing, is that physical or mental?
No, that's mental.
Because it's imaginary. It's not a real lemon, right?
Yep.
Very simple, simplistic example. But so here's the question.
It's awesome.
Good. So does the water cause the image, or does the image cause the water?
I'd say the
So
I'll still want the water into that case. Yeah.
so there's a cause and effect. You
Yeah.
imagine a sour lemon squeezing,
And then the body reacts to it.
body reacts. Again, it's a simplistic thing, but that shows that you can see the cause and effect. You can most meditators, no, not most meditators, all people before they begin meditation, the mind and the body is fused together. They're really, it's not possible to see that distinction without mindfulness. And you've been practicing long enough to already start to, the way you describe it, it's very clear that you're making that distinction, that there's you clearly know what's the difference between mind and matter. That's when the eye of insight, the inner meditative eye begins to open. Only when you start to make that distinction can you start to see the connection. The image caused the saliva caused something else. You said that the intention to slow down caused the breath to slow down. The slowing down to the breath causes more stillness in the mind. So there's kind of a cause and effect there. And I mean, cause and effect it's logical, of course, but the point is you start, at this point, Dave, you can start to see these things. And it's important that you see that more and more, that you start to see, okay, this is physical, this is mental, not in an analysis. So you're not going to do an analysis.
Just getting aware of it.
And intuitively aware, because you're already there. You're already able to see that. And then start to also recognize connections. You know, you start the breath here, you feel the sensations in the nose, then it moves down to the chest, you notice that, and then as it gets at a certain point, you notice it drops down to the belly. That was all cause and effect that I didn't describe it, you described it. And you follow that whole kind of connection of experiences. And sometimes a mental experience will cause a physical experience, like the lemon causing the saliva. Sometimes a physical experience, like a relaxing in the body, will cause a mental experience, like calmness in the mind. And you'll start to see more and more of those connections. Within a 10-minute, let's say your daily 10-minute meditation, you should be able to stay with this, see those things pretty regularly throughout the practice. And at a certain point, you might even find yourself going to drop in with a super quiet mind, super focused, concentrated mind of the flow of experience, that you're just able to stay with the in-breath and the out-breath, and there's no gap. There's no slipping away of the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll happen from time to time. It'll happen more and more the more that you practice, but usually it takes a few minutes for the energy to come together, the mindfulness to get established, and the concentration to become one-pointed. You know, after a few minutes, then you can start to move into a flow of experience. And that's your inner path. Now, there's two other things I want to mention. You'd mentioned at the beginning that sometimes the mind wanders away, and then you come back. Yeah, and the mind wanders away, and you come back. That can be quite a challenge for even experienced advanced meditators who are practicing mindfulness-based meditation. Have a lot of thoughts coming. It doesn't go away in mindfulness practice. The thinking doesn't go away. It's just that it catches us less. So, like you were talking about the pure witnessing. You know, when you really get established in the mindfulness practice, you might experience this also in your Aikido practice. You know, the zanshin, when you're just kind of with experience, and the body's responding naturally because you're there and there's muscle memory.
Exactly.
So it'll be the same thing. You'll have this continuous, sustained experience of the witness throughout the practice. And those moments if you find yourself dropping into those moments, give all of your attention and really help expand those moments. So if you came to the end of your 10 minutes and you find yourself in a good place, just keep going. A few breaths, a few minutes, you know, take advantage of that, because it always takes 10, 15 minutes. The more you practice, the less it takes, but it might take some minutes before you drop into a certain place.
Yeah.
So, you know, the mind has to get all the garbage out of it from the day, and then it settles in. If you find yourself settling in, you have a little more time, then give a little bit more time to that. Okay? So there's one more thing. So just review what I was saying. So recognize the distinction between physical and mental. It's intuitive at this point. It should be easy. Second is to look for those connections. Now, a thought can cause you thinking about money or family or whatever, and you've noticed you're suddenly sweating and it makes you a little bit stressed or whatever. Notice the connection between mental experience and physical experience and mental experience, or mental experience plus mental experience. Physical experience can lead to physical experience. Notice those connections, and continuously, should the mind wander off, continuously come back to your home base. You know, do your body scan, and it's kind of intuitive. It seems like it's working quite well, but then when you settle in here, really kind of return there and see if you train, and look closely. The way that I asked you to describe out 5 characteristics or 5 qualities of the in-breath, those are like if you're a rock climbing, you know, you have these little toe holds that you kind of, that'll pull yourself up. Each time you see a little quality or little sensation, continue to see it. And that'll act like a little toe hold that will move you forward in the practice. Now, one important thing, the slowing down of the breath, the regulating of the breath. We do that in Aikido, they do it in yoga, runners do stuff like that. I do that with my daughter when she's a little bit stressed out. I say, okay, come on, sweetie, let's sit down, take a few deep breaths, and then suddenly she can talk. So that's important to do that. At a certain point in your awareness training, you don't want to do that. So what I did here in your report, there's a little bit of an intention to get into a more relaxed state. And that's good. If you want to do that, that's kind of the self-regulation side of the practice. So to help you to get into a relaxed state. Sorry, but Uchideshi is doing a little.
That's okay.
But at a certain point, you want to do pure mindfulness and do not manipulate experience at all. Sometimes progress in the practice means more tension, more contraction, and more unpleasant experience. But that's progress. So if you have a preference to always become more and more calm and relaxed, then you might actually be stopping progress. So if you find that that your mindfulness is really good and it's becoming more contracted or tense, or the breath is becoming rough instead of smooth, don't necessarily think it's bad. Now, if you're sitting down to meditate for the intention to calm down, then do your breathing exercise. That's fine. But at some point, let it go and just be with what's happening, and notice the practice is always going to be cycling through pleasant to unpleasant to neutral to pleasant to neutral to unpleasant. It's always going to be in that cycle. And your job as a meditator, a mindfulness meditator, is to be able to just witness that cycle. Okay? Yeah, that's really awesome. So I'm very happy to hear about your practice, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Do you have any final questions before we finish off?
No, I'm good. I'm good with that.
Awesome, great, Dave. And if you ever want to drop me a line someday, let me know how the practice is going. I'd be happy to hear.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Right. You're very welcome. Okay, all the best with your practice. Hope to see you again soon.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.